Hi friends, this will be a lovely yin class for you and me. Props that you want to consider here are a couple blocks. If you don't have blocks, grab some books. And then a blanket, but no bolsters or straps. And so we'll just start in a seat. You might sit on a block or your blanket. Either stack your hands in your lap or let them fall on your knees. And then close your eyes. Feel your sits bones ground down. And low back draws in and up. Nice erect spine, but not rigid. Soften your knees. Soften your face. And take in your next inhale, blow up your belly like a balloon for 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, belly expands. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 3 more rounds on your own. Fold your hands together in front of your heart. Take your chin down toward your chest. Inhale, breath. Exhale. Rest your hands down. Open your eyes. And the first pose we'll start in is Supta Baddha Konasana, which will be where we use these blocks. So, taking each block or your books, take them outside of your mat, and then just make your way down to your back. Soles of feet together, knees wide. So the knees are going to rest on the blocks. As you can see, my knees aren't even going to touch this height, so I'm going to take them up a little bit higher. Rest your head down. Adjust your shoulder blades so they're flat on your mat. And then you can take your hands or arms just out wide or cactus. And close your eyes. And settle in. You can even take one hand to your belly, one hand to your heart, so that it might be more beneficial for you to keep your focus on your breath if your hand is connected to your body, or lay on your chest or belly. And then just let your knees soften down to your blocks. Shoulder blades heavy and firmly planted on your mat. Jaw is soft. Space between your eyebrows softens. See if you can release any tension that you might find in your hips, or maybe your knees are just hovering over your blocks but not fully feeling supported. So make any changes there so that your body is relaxed. Every time you notice that your mind is wandering, bring your attention back to your breath. Inhale, breath. Exhale, breath. Open your eyes. Bring your hands outside of your knees and then draw them to center. And you can take your blocks back. Extend your left leg long and draw your right knee in toward your chest. Interlace your fingers around your shin. And then draw your knee toward your right armpit. So right knee to right armpit. Close your eyes, go inside. Your left leg is extended long and it's relaxed. Keep hugging your knee toward your armpit. Stay with this or add on. So half happy baby, basically. Sole of right foot faces the sky. And then you take your hand on the outside of your right foot and draw your knee down. So your foot is pressing up into your hand is pulling down your foot. And your right knee is going toward your right armpit. Soften your neck, left leg long. You can even take your left hand and slide it on the top of your hip or thigh. As this becomes more tense, tap into your breath. So yin is different than restorative in that you're not getting that full supported practice with props where we're just calming down your nervous system. This is getting you a more deep stretch, targeting connective tissue, fascia, and aiding in more flexibility, which also brings on more sensation. So see where your body might have tensed up as we come deeper into our hip stretches. Good. If you have the foot, you'll release and then come back to where you were before and take some circles with your foot, a few in each direction. Now straighten your right leg up. Interlace your fingers behind your thigh, kind of the top of the thigh, and then draw the shape toward your nose. If you're really flexible here, you'll take peace fingers around your big toe and then lengthen up. Back of head is heavy. Sending the breath to the back of your right leg. Good. Rebend your right knee. You'll take your left hand on top of your shin and cross the knee over your body and come completely onto your left side. Now keep your right knee rooted. If you want, you might take your knee onto a block and then cactus your top arm and draw the head of the arm bone back so that the scapula on the right side comes more toward your spine. Now unwind so that your shoulder blades are firm on your mat. Your right knee is hanging out here on a block or is touching down. And then take your gaze to your right. And close your eyes. See where your body wants to hold on to tension and send your breath to those areas. Bring your head back to neutral and then come back to your back. Interlace your fingers. Draw your knee in, big breath in. And exhale, take your right leg long. And then just stay here for a moment and notice the difference here between the sides, between the legs. Taking time to reflect and seeing just that minimal amount of stretching, how big of an impact it can have. All right, let's even ourselves out. Left knee draws in. Interlace your fingers. Draw your left knee toward your left armpit. Right leg is long. Notice if any tightness came back to your face. Relax your jaw and relax the space between your eyebrows. Stay with this. Or take the hand on the outside of your left foot so the foot faces up. Your left knee draws outside your torso. Right leg stays long. You can take your right hand and then just press the thigh down. Close your eyes. Kicking into your hand, and hand pulls the foot down. Use your breath to deepen the stretch. Even when it gets really intense, that's when you really want to tap into your breath. Deepening your inhales and exhales. Inhale. Exhale. And release the foot if you have it and draw your knee back toward your chest. Take some circles with your foot in each direction. Extend your left leg up, interlace your fingers behind your thigh. If this does nothing for you, of course, take yogi grip around the big toes, straighten the leg, and draw back. Close your eyes, turn inside, focus on your breath. Soften the back of your head down. Maybe take your head side to side. Relax your shoulders down. Good. Bend your left knee. Take your right hand to the outside of your knee. Turn completely onto your right side to start, and potentially bring a block underneath your knee. Cactus your left arm. Draw the head of the arm bone back, and then slowly unwind. Maybe both shoulder blades can touch down on your mat. Maybe not. So if it's uncomfortable, you stay on your left side and you open up your chest as much as it will allow. So no pain or numbness or tingling. Sensation is okay. A few more rounds of breath. And then slowly roll back to your back. Give your knee a little hug. Lengthen your left leg out. And just settle here for a moment. Notice if your legs feel a little bit more even. And draw your knees into your chest. And just take some circles with the knees a little side to side. And grab behind your thighs, rock and roll up to a seat. And then if your hips are particularly tight or your hamstrings, I do advise propping yourself up on a blanket, which I will do. And then take your hands off to the sides. Lift your hips up and slide your sits bones back. We want the pelvis to shift forward. So we're looking for a stretch in the legs, not in the back. A block could come in handy here. So hinging at your hips, pelvis tilts forward. Lead with your chest. You may already feel a juicy stretch happening. I do. So if that's the case, and you know that you're not going to safely keep a long spine and bring your belly and chest to your legs, you might take a block or two. And then you can rest your head down. So keeping the stretch in your legs. And this takes some finagling. Notice this is kind of at a tilt here. But I want to take out any crazy rounding on my back and then just rest my forehead down. Rest your hands down. Some of you may be able to come all the way down to your forearms. And if you even need more, you'll take a block and basically make your legs longer so that when you hinge at your hips, you can reach for your block and come down. And then once you find your sweet spot, inhale deeply and exhale, soften your face. And let your blocks support your forehead. See if your legs can ground down more. Heavy in your pelvis. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Slowly lift your head up. Set your blocks aside. Keep your right leg long, bend your left knee, and bring the sole of your left foot inside your right thigh. So I know I'm a little bit more flexible in this pose, so I'm going to go ahead and remove my blanket, but feel free to keep your sits bones up on the blanket. It's a little bit of a twist what happens here, so root your hands down, turn your torso toward your extended leg, and then walk your hands forward. Maybe one hand comes around the foot, your left hand can come out here. And bending your right elbow, drawing your chest forward. Take the gaze down and then notice, are you rounding here? If you are, you want to come back up. Keep the stretch on the back of the legs. Root your right sits bone down just as evenly as your left. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Walk your hands over to the left. So over your bent knee, turning your torso to be parallel over your left knee. And then walk your hands forward, but keep your right sits bone grounded. Once that right sits bone peels off the mat, that's where you stop. You might be able to come down to your forearms, interlace your fingers. You could bring a block underneath your forehead. Adjusting the height as needed to keep your right sits bone down. Come right back to your breath. Close your eyes. Take the gaze inside. Good. Press into your hands and come back up. And we'll just go into the other side. Take your left leg long, bend your right knee, take the sole of your right foot inside your right thigh. Use a blanket if you need to. Zip your left hip back. Have your block handy. All right, root down to your sits bones, walk your hands forward. You can take your left hand outside your left foot, take your right hand down, maybe even take a block here. If you can get that deep without a huge round to your back. Keep grounding down into your left sits bone as much as your right. Can you surrender more deeply? Or are you holding yourself back somewhere? Maybe it's your thoughts. Maybe you're not focusing on your breath. So stay here, tune in. This is your time. Let the practice serve you. And press your hands down, walk yourself up. I'm just going to shift over a little bit to the long edge of my mat. And now we're turning and taking our hands out in front of the extended knee. And then walking forearms down. If your left sits bone doesn't come up, you might want your head under a block. Or you can just stay up on your finger pads. Hopefully feeling stretches here in the low back. Still feeling a stretch in the back of the leg and outer left hip. Root your left sit bone down. Plant your right knee down. And breathe. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Press yourself back up. Take a block with you. Straighten your right leg. And then bend both knees and take your feet off to one side. We're going to set up for pigeon. So with pigeon, you can just start in hands and knees and take your right knee toward your right wrist and then slide your left leg back. Now, as you can see, my foot is more near my groin, and that's because I'm still tight in my hips. But you can try to walk your foot up a little bit. If you are really flexible, you take your shin and have it be parallel with the top of your mat. And then lift your hips up. Your right knee would be down. But mine is not. So I'm going to take my block. You could also do a bolster or a pillow. And I'm going to stick it, and you'll see this better on the other side, underneath my right thigh. So basically it's going to keep my right hip elevated so that I'm not having my right sit bone down and leaning into my hip while I'm coming forward. Instead, the hips are more square forward. Walk your right knee out. Walk your left leg back. You can tuck the toes or keep them untucked. And then walk your forearms forward. Notice how the block or the blanket or bolster keeps your right hip elevated. And then you get to choose. You could have your head here on a block. Or you might have the flexibility to walk your arms completely forward. So just make any adjustments so that you feel supported and feel that you can let gravity take hold of you. Inhale. Exhale. Press down into your hands and come on up. Remove the block and swing your left leg around so that your left foot comes outside your right thigh. And then adjust yourself so that the sits bones are heavy on your mat. And if this feels like too much, take your right leg and extend it long. Otherwise, bend the knee. Wrap your right arm around your front shin. And then just take your fingers and walk them back behind you. You can take the gaze back or close your eyes. And then focus on your breath. Have compassion for yourself in your twist. So it doesn't take much to feel the twist. Just honor your body. And then also take your mind's eye to your sits bones. Notice if your left sits bone is lifted up. Try to find equal pressure down into your sits bones, using a blanket to come under any part of your body that's like lifted off of your mat. Inhale, lengthens your spine tall. Exhale, twist might deepen. Slowly unwind. We're going to stay here and add on for Gomukhasana legs. So if you have this right leg straight, keep it exactly as it is. We're going to slide the left knee on top of the right knee. Toes click down, so you're on the tops of your feet, and you're trying to stack your knees. Ways that the blanket could come in handy here, you could sit on it to bring you some height. And if it just feels so intense, you can even take a block. Like if this knee is way up here, which is how I used to be, you can take a block under your left knee so that it has a place to feel supported. You could put blankets under here, pillows, whatever feels the best for you. Or if the full flexion on your knee is too much, you can just take a looser kind of cross-legged seat like this, so the left foot is over the right. And then either way, whatever variation, heavy on the sits bones, hinge at your hips, walk your hands forward, and then just let your head come down. If you're taking full Gomukhasana legs, stay rooted in your sits bones, walk your hands forward. You can be on your finger pads to press your pelvis down. If you feel that you can relax your gaze down and then keep any tension out of your neck, you can just stay here. If you want the support of blocks, you might stack them or take one on the highest height. And then bring your forehead down. Sits bones are like lead. Big sensations here, so tap into your breath. This will be your best tool for letting go. Close your eyes, turn inside. Inhale. Exhale. And then walk your hands back up. Take a block aside. And then just come on back. Unhook. Bring both feet down. Take your knees side to side. And then we'll switch sides. So you can start in tabletop. Left knee toward left wrist, slide your right leg back. So making this feel more intense, you're gonna bring your front shin more parallel with the top of your mat. I'm gonna bring a block underneath my left thigh. Bolster, blanket works fine, pillows. And then come on down. You can have your block underneath your head, come to your forearms. Relax your gaze down. You can keep your back toes tucked if you liked. You can stack your fists and take your elbows wide. So all the props are nice to have, but there's so many ways to be creative and not have a bunch of yoga props. Melt your heart down. How can you deepen into the stretch? Where are your thoughts? Take them back to your breath every time they wander. Inhale breath. Exhale. Good. Use your hands to press yourself up and remove your prop. Sit onto your left hip. Swing your right leg around. So remember, we've got options here. So you're taking your right foot outside your left thigh. Sits bones root down. You can straighten your left leg. Take your left arm, wrap it around. Right hand comes back. Low back hugs in and up. Start your twist. Inhale. Exhale. You can take your gaze back, close your eyes. Root your right sits bone down as much as your left, using any props you need to bring the floor to you. Send the breath to your outer right hip, glutes, IT band. wherever you feel the most tension and tightness. Inhale. Exhale. Take your gaze back forward and then remember your options here for Gomukhasana. If you have the space, you stay. Toes click down, heels by the outer hips, sits bones rooted, and then you start coming forward. Or left leg stays long, or right foot crosses over left. You've got this nice wide-legged, cross-legged seat, and you come forward. Big sensations, so deep, steady breath. You can use your hands to ground your sits bones down, hinge at your hips, come down to your forearms, maybe a block or two underneath your forehead. Knees are stacked. Deepen your breath. Keep the focus there. Soften your jaw. Soften your shoulders. Have compassion here for yourself, your body, in this pose. Breathe through sensation. Where can you let go? Maybe as you go deeper into the stretch, or you've taken this class a couple times now, you can adjust the block and notice that you can come deeper. Inhale, breath. Exhale. Good. Walk your hands back up. Unwind all of that. Feet down, knees up, knees side to side. All right, just one more pose before Shavasana. So come on down to your back. Shoulder blades firm, heels under knees, and then press down into your heels to lift your hips. Slide your block underneath your sacrum, so that is lower than your low back. Think of it more lower than your hip points. You get to decide the height. It could be no height, and legs could go up Take legs up the wall even, or sit your hips up. Keep your feet rooted down, arms out to the side, or knees draw to the chest. And if you feel stable enough, you'll take your legs up like this. Lift your chin a little bit away from your chest. Arms can be out to the side or cactus. And breathe. Good. Bend your knees if your legs are straight up. Bring your feet down. Root down into your feet to lift your hips off of your block. Draw your knees in, take some circles. And then you get to choose your ending. So you'll either set up for your Shavasana, just depending on what time of the day, and become fully comfortable, maybe even a eye pillow. You could have a blanket on. Just let the legs relax, be wide, arms be wide, palms face up or overhead. And you just settle. And then you stay there as long as you can. And that means 5 minutes to 30. So just choose what works for you. Or just go ahead and end in a seated meditation again, if you can stay there for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. Nice and quiet. You'll take that option. But either way, just notice how your body feels now in this moment compared to when you started your practice. Notice if the chatter in your mind quieted, or if you feel just more space in your body, space between your thoughts. So stay as long as you can in your seat, legs at the wall or Shavasana, and I will see you next time. Namaste.